Hey guys, so yeah, I wasn't expecting to do one of these today, but yeah, I guess it released early or something, I don't know. But anyway, right from the jump, we learned that what Ziggy is doing with the data he collects from human collaborators brought to Lendard, which is that he's using it in order to prepare for the journey to find Mother, and he's pretty much gathered all, and but at the same time, he's also gathered all he pretty much needs for them. The only thing he's waiting on now at this point is for Eden Zero to finish its calculation and mapping out like the route and location and Mother's location. So just from this little bit of information, there's a lot to take away. First is that it kind of confirms that Ziggy definitely is going to make an escape during all the chaos of fighting Crow, or maybe even before all that. But we're definitely on a time crunch here, and even more so, he's definitely making an escape from the planet regardless of what happens. Now, where this discussion gets interesting, though, is under what circumstances he'll escape. Because with the added piece that he's performing this calculation to find Mother, it makes me wonder exactly how much longer we have before Mashima reaches the series climax. Because on one hand, I know we have a lot more ground to cover, and we still have a lot of the other like Oración Seis Galactica that need proper introductions. But this chapter, in certain respects, is feels like a major turning point for the series, where depending on whatever happens from here is going to dictate the pace of the story going forward. For example, in a scenario where Ziggy succeeds in escaping with the coordinates to Muzzle's location, then the pace of the story I feel almost has to go at a more like fast breakneck speed, and I don't mean like in a sense of being rushed, but I mean in the sense where in that each where in each new chapter and each new like opening part of the chapter that's presented, it's going to need to focus somewhat of a scenario of practically chasing after Ziggy. However, in that other scenario where Shiki and others managed to disrupt Ziggy's scheme, I feel there's more narrative room to work with while still having Shiki and the others give chase. So, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think there will be. I think beyond this point there will be more of a narrative focus on chasing Ziggy after this arc, regardless of the outcome. But under what context is what will affect the narrative flow of that. If Ziggy escapes with the coordinates, then I think the pace of such a chase will be going at a much more fast breakneck speed. But if they manage to like stop him from like stop the flow of that information or something, then he'll escape with only half of it, and it'll allow itself to go at a little bit more. I don't know if I want to say smooth or more proper pacing, but it will go at a more like at a more it will be you'll be able to like still have a chase while narratively focusing on a lot more. I don't Depends on which one goes first though. Um, Now, with that said, we got a lot of information in this chapter, and starting off small, I like how Mashima kind of reinforced through Elsie learning about Crow that, yeah, a confrontation with both of them isn't avoidable no matter what happens. But if you have a decent strategy and play it smart, it is doable. But of course, that in itself leads to an entirely different conversation and reveal, is that they're going to lure a chronophage to Lendard. Which, first off, I love that we're touching upon them again, touching about the chronophages again, just in general, because I was starting to feel like Mashima had forgotten about them. But the stuff we learn about them is just oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So major reveal with the chronophages this week is that they're attracted to planets not by coincidence or because they need to consume them, but in order to exist, but it's because they're attracted to those who act against the flow of time, such as Rebecca and to a lesser degree Weiss. Which, yeah, looking back on full context of the story, every time a chronophase has shown up, it has been because whether it seems to have been because whether subconsciously or not, when Rebecca has used her power. So it's so just by Rebecca using her power, it kind of sent out a signal to them, sent out a signal to the nearest chronophage. So in that sense, it actually really it actually does, like, this reveal works amazingly in describing just what motivates these chronophages. It is because of Rebecca's power and how she she kind of is one who works against the flow of time. Now, taking all this information into account, Mashima does do a decent job of explaining why one didn't always show up every time, as there would be times when using her powers that we can kind of infer that the signal probably wasn't strong enough to track one to her. But where I do start to question this explanation a little bit is that it does feel a little convenient when looking in context of the Belial Gore arc, seeing as how that's when her powers first fully awakened. You'd think that's when it would send out kind of the strongest signal, but it's and basically attract one to Belial Gore. But it's a small nitpick in. And either way, like the more important part about this reveal to me, honestly, is that once this is over, Rebecca's not walking away from this emotionally attacked. Like just learning that she's the reason for all the worlds that have been consumed by the chronophages, and was in part because of her, and the deaths that were caused by that are gonna weigh heavily on her now, and no matter how much assurance she gets from Shiki and the others, this is something she's going to have to live with and determine how she moves forward. And honestly, just on top of just being curious on how Mashima plans to explore that connection between Rebecca and the chronophages, like Rebecca can only develop into a stronger person beyond this point. Like knowing this now, like just knowing that Rebecca, just Rebecca knowing that she's kind of the one responsible for like all the death that's happened because of the chronophages, that is going to motivate her in order to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I really love how this is. I really love how knowing that her powers does have such a consequence, it is pushing her in order to do better, in order to make sure it just doesn't happen. And I love how Mashima just added that motivating factor onto everything. And so yeah, between that, we also get a nice little moment between Rebecca and Lobelia about finding Mother, and about the fact that that Rebecca has an ether gear. And all that is in itself is pretty much a laid-back conversation in itself. But I think the next couple of chapters, we are going to see Lobelia motivated to pull her own weight and helping the others in any way she can now. Like, because I personally and genuinely believe Lobelia will not only play a much larger support role now, but we will see her like actively help them as a full-on member of the crew. Like Lobelia after this isn't just going to sit back and just kind of watch things as they occur. Like she might do that a little bit just out of fear, but I think she will. I think during this whole experience, she will come into her own and like actively say, what do I do? What do you need my help with, kind of thing. Like what is it that I have to do to, like what is it that I have to do to help? Like I think Lobelia is going to just we are going to see Lobelia come into her own during this whole experience, and if her banter with Rebecca is anything to go off of, I think there is a lot more potential with Lobelia's contribution to the crew dynamic than what we're seeing right now, and that she will walk, and that no matter what happens, Lobelia is going to walk from this experience much different than how she's been previously when she gets a taste of just what they've been dealing with up until now. Now, whether or not she also gets an ether gear, that's still up in the air, but her conversation with Brecca does seem to slightly push things in that direction as well, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, from here, like everything is pretty much but yeah, aside from that, pretty much everything from here is basically going all pretty much we're full on straight to Lendard and putting the plan into motion, which from here I think anything else that happens is going to be basically what happens in terms of the role that pretty much Holy is going to play, and whether or not justice is going to show up. That's kind of those are going to be the main issues right now. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Control. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.